A sharp review of long-running shonen anime, ranked from S to F across 5 tiers. First is One Piece, the undisputed ceiling of the anime world today. As of now, it has serialized over 1,000 chapters and featured more than 1,300 characters, boasting highly fleshed-out plotlines, character designs, and power systems. Although some fans complain that the later arcs get dragged out, that the chosen bloodline trope ruins the core themes, and that characters like Odin, Kobe, and Roger were poorly handled, the flaws ultimately do not overshadow its merits. It earns an S-tier ranking. Next is Naruto. The manga's paneling is exceptionally clean, while the anime's soundtrack and battle animation are absolute peaks in the industry. The villains in the series are all masterfully designed classics. Even though the original manga wrapped up over a decade ago, its popularity hasn't waned a bit. It also gets an S-tier. Bleach is an incredibly stylish series. The author, Tite Kubo, is a master at making his characters look and feel absolutely badass. However, the final Thousand-Year Blood War arc felt rushed and fell a bit flat. As one of the Big Three, it dragged the trio's overall reputation down a little, so it can only be placed in the A tier. Dragon Ball is the grandfather of battle shonen, easily earning an S-tier ranking. Katekyo Hitman Reborn is another highly stylish work, featuring a very innovative combat system centered around rings and box weapons. However, the early slice-of-life comedy episodes, as well as the later Inheritance Ceremony and the Curse of the Rainbow arcs, were quite weak. Only the Varia and Future arcs in the middle can truly be considered spectacular. It gets a B-tier ranking. Based on the name, you might think Toriko is a cooking anime, but it is actually a pure, hardcore battle shonen. The world building is massive and the plot is decent, but the character designs and power scaling completely broke down. Jump heavily pushed it to be the successor to Bleach, and Toei even set up crossovers with One Piece and Dragon Ball, but it still couldn't boost its popularity. I can only give it an F-tier ranking. Fairy Tail features a very appealing magic-based combat theme, and the bond between the members of the main guild is incredibly heartwarming. However, the plot feels a bit repetitive, and the villains lack any real sense of menace. Thanks to the "because we are fairy tale" trope, even a literal god has to bite the dust. It gets a B tier. Hunter x Hunter is a real pity. The plot and combat system are highly engaging, and the psychological mind games are the absolute peak of the genre. Unfortunately, the author, Yoshihiro Togashi, goes on hiatus for years at a time, leaving it with an A-tier ranking. The Seven Deadly Sins started off brilliantly with a combat style highly reminiscent of Dragon Ball. However, from the mid to late stages onward, both the storyline and the animation quality completely collapsed beyond saving. It gets a C tier. My Hero Academia features a pathetic male lead, a deuteragonist who is a bully, and blatant fan service tailored for shipping. The battle paneling is quite poor, though the ending was actually decent. It gets a C tier. Black Clover has a plot, setting, and world building that are incredibly formulaic, giving off massive Naruto and Fairy Tail vibes. However, starting from the Seabed Temple arc, it found its own distinct style, with the elf reincarnation arc marking its absolute peak. On top of that, the animation team occasionally drops god-tier battle episodes that rival Naruto's best moments. Highly recommended, it absolutely deserves a B-tier ranking. D.Greyman is another real pity. At its peak, it stood shoulder to shoulder with Reborn and Gintama. Unfortunately, the author, Katsura Hoshino, suffered from health issues that led to years of hiatuses, and the mid to late story lacks major highlights. It disappointingly lands in the C tier. Fullmetal Alchemist is a battle shonen built on the foundation of alchemy and the principle of equivalent exchange. Even though it is a battle shonen, its classic plot points and dialogue are well worth savoring. It earns an S-tier ranking. Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba is an immensely popular series, but to be honest, the plot is average. The character designs are quite good, and the Hashira and upper ranks are highly distinctive. To avoid cancellation during its manga run, the story rushed to its climax by abruptly wiping out half of the 12 Kazuki, making it a textbook example of an anime carrying the original source material. Given its explosive popularity, it earns an A tier. Jujutsu Kaisen is another massively popular work, but I can only describe the plot as an absolute joke. The character concepts get an A, but the actual character development is a failure, and the protagonist feels even more invisible than those in Hunter x Hunter or Demon Slayer. It can only get a B tier at most. Attack on Titan features an incredibly thrilling script with exciting plot twists and highly dynamic action sequences. Even though the ending made Eren look like a total clown, none of that matters in the grand scheme of things. It absolutely deserves an S tier ranking. Tokyo Ghoul is pure pain, just agonizingly painful. Do you guys truly understand Ken Kaniki's pain? Although Kaneki went through multiple transformations, the messy battle paneling and heavily altered plot in the later stages made his show of strength feel flat and weak. By the end, it was obvious the author couldn't rein it back in, leading to a rushed, anticlimactic finish. It gets a B tier. Rurouni Kenshin is the absolute ceiling of swordsman battle anime and was the sole flagship title for Jump after Dragon Ball ended and before One Piece began serialization. An A tier fits it perfectly. Nura, Rise of the Yokai Clan, at its peak, stood alongside Gintama, Reborn. And D. Greyman as one of Jump's 4 mini flagships, ranked just behind the big three. The plot and character designs were quite commendable, though the conclusion leaned toward a rushed ending. It gets a C tier. Tokyo Revengers enjoyed popularity on par with Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen. The protagonist travels back to his high school days, striving to become a top delinquent to save the world, with an ending that feels a bit like the fated showdown between Sasuke Uchiha and Naruto Uzumaki. The protagonist possesses the ultimate superpower of the series, and the wildly popular deuteragonist with his dark impulsivity saved the world. It is just pure melodrama. It gets an F tier ranking. Inuyasha features a great art style for its yokai theme, and the character development is excellent. It earns an A tier. Fire Force suffers from the same issue as Toriko. Judging by the name, you wouldn't think it was a battle shonen. The action paneling is quite good, and the plot twists are relatively unexpected, but overall it doesn't live up to the author's previous work, Soul Eater. It can only get a C tier at most. Since works like Gintama, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and One Punch Man aren't considered traditional long-running battle shonen, we will wrap up the rankings here for now. See you next time, bye.